Yeah.
So when we talked about budget, it is on what is India planning to do and what is the growth story of India. Our finance minister of India trying to tell the whole citizens of our country. But then there is again, the big daddy, the US or the Trump being now the president. There is something even bigger happening in the world right now, which is the trade war. So Trump coming out and putting sanctions and tariffs across on all the countries, and we even see recently the tariffs being kept on Mexico and even China, and there is a possibility of tariff on India as well. So definitely we should talk about that, because if the big daddy or the US or the Trump is not happy and is putting a lot of tariffs on India, we could take a hit, and all this growth story, budget story, everything can take a toss.
Yeah. And on the other hand, if it is being played out well, or if things might go the way that we expect it to, I think India can benefit by quite a lot. We saw this under Trump's last presidency as well, where tariffs were imposed on China. And during the 2020 years, when the entire world got a trigger, a lot of industries and manufacturing moved out of China. And India was benefited quite a lot, right? There are a lot of reports saying that. So I think even this time around, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are putting out a lot of terms like tariffs and stuff like that. But I think India last week woke up on a Monday morning and so, hey, Nifty is opening with a gap down. After a seemingly good budget, people were expecting things to be good, and then we opened with a gap down, and we're looking for reasons, and everywhere what we see is Trump tariff and trade wars, and that's why US markets are also down, and that's why you are also down. So let's break it down. Let's understand what Trump tariff is and why is it a bad thing, right? So tariff is nothing but import duties.
Yeah.
Import
in
duties,
India, we call it as import duty.
Yeah, import duty is nothing but whatever you as a country is you in a country is importing from another country, the tax that you pay on top of that to your own country.
Yeah.
So that is what tariff is. So Donald Trump is back in presidency, and one of his favorite weapons against other countries is this tariff or import duty. So the trigger now is the fact that he has imposed an increased tariff on Canada, Mexico, but more importantly, China.
Yep.
And not just that, he imposed extra tariff on China, import from China. Now China has also struck back. China is saying that, hey, if anyone from China is importing stuff from the US, an import duty or a tariff is imposed on that as well. Now, if you think about it, it is a trade war which is happening here. Obviously, whatever Trump is doing, China is not liking. Whatever China is now doing, retaliating to this, Trump would also be not liking it. So that tension is really happening. That's why the markets are not liking it as well.
Yeah, I think the long-term and short-term impacts on India is what is to be discussed here. Because just like we talked about the budget, where the budget is giving a sense of how the Indian economy, the Indian industries will perform, even this at a geopolitical or a global level, it is going to dictate how India will grow as a country, right? Because whenever the business moves out of China, which is the world's manufacturing powerhouse, I think India will surely benefit. So right now, as we speak, India is not directly a part of this trade war. We are an indirect party to it. So when the two major superpowers of the world are fighting, India is indirectly trying to benefit from it. Yes, there will be few problems, disruptions in supply chain, logistics problems, and so on and so forth. But India is trying to pull a lot of those manufacturing deals that China has back into the country. I mean, even over the last 4 years, the PLI scheme that we have been seeing quite a lot, it is also a part of that part of India that was preparing for this trade war that could come. I feel we are very ready for what is going to come over the next 1 year. And if we play our cards right, I think it can be really good for the country.
Now that US has imposed tariffs on China, which is 10%, US companies would be looking at other global companies to be an alternative for China, right? And definitely India is looking forward for that. And, we can even discuss which sectors would actually be, benefited from this.
The very first sector here is very, very obvious, which is nothing but manufacturing and especially electronics. Because if you look at China's export into the US, the largest sector is electronics.
Interesting.
So that's where India could come in, right? And we've seen this playing out already. We already are speaking about iPhones getting manufactured in India and getting exported as well.
Yep.
So that will play out for sure. And you spoke about the amazing PLI scheme that Indian government is pushing as well. Production linked incentive scheme.
Yeah.
We see a lot of manufacturing plants set up in India, and there is a larger Make in India theme which is also playing out. So I think India is at a very good place to capitalize on that and to capitalize on manufacturing growing, especially in the electronic space. And thinking about stocks, hey, the very famous names of Dixon and Amber are what comes to my mind. But then, hey, there could be more opportunities as well.
One of the other sectors which will definitely feel the impact, definitely feel the benefits are pharma and related chemical sector. So India is already the largest pharma producer in the world. We're known as a pharma capital. And because of this, there are a lot of certain ingredients that China manufactures. So whenever there is restrictions being put on these ingredients, Indian companies have an opportunity to step up. So Cipla, your Sun Pharma, all of them are even API manufacturers as well. API is a component which goes into pharma manufacturing, and even larger chemical stocks. Anything around the chemicals theme, I am very bullish on it. I have been bullish on it earlier as well. And I think that's going to be really positive for these industries.
Yeah, and China exports a lot of plastic goods, plastic toys and everything to the whole world. And India, if we can set up those plants here, those manufacturing units, those sectors can also grow really well. And obviously, against the dollar, Indian rupee is like falling, that we all already know, right? So this is again making lucrative to US companies to buy stuff from in India, because
Correct.
Yeah.
the US
Yeah.
dollar is superior and they're getting at much cheaper cost.
Yeah. So our currency depreciating actually has this hidden benefit that a lot of people are not thinking about. I mean, it has its pros and cons, like we've discussed in the previous episodes.
Yeah.
But one of the benefits is that our exports will be more competitive in the global markets. So I think, to summarize, from both of these stories, both from the budget story as well as the Trump tariff war story, what audience needs to go by is the first level is that there are direct companies which will benefit. Okay, your stocks which we discussed right now, they have the potential to be benefited. At the second level, now I'm asking everyone to think a layer deeper. At the second level or the second layer, there are suppliers to these larger companies which will benefit. Let's take, for example, a plastic manufacturing company which is supplying to any of the industries that we talked about earlier. Now, plastic manufacturing could also improve because of the other companies doing well.
Yeah.
Now, think one more layer deeper. As the country grows, as the economy grows, there is a possibility that your FMCG companies would start doing well, your energy sector will start doing well, and your auto sector. So all of the industries which signal that the economy is doing well, they'll also start booming. So I think that's something that the audience and the viewers can think about.
So the very larger or the largest layer being economy could do well. Nifty 50 could do well.
We are
All
back
of
to
your
that.
equity investments could do well because a lot of positive things. But
Yeah.
from a very short-term perspective, with Trump doing all these trade war and stuff like that, there could be volatility as well. So when you can be bullish, dreaming about how economy is gonna do well and your equity investments are gonna do well over the long term, short term, there could be volatility. Traders will have to remain safe, and stuff like that is also something I'll have to put out.
Yeah, the lack of economic peace. I know
Yeah, exactly.
countries have become less aggressive towards each other on the war front in general, but the lack of economic peace, I think, will keep the markets on their toes and will be volatile. And like we had discussed earlier, Sharique, VIX could remain higher. That is a benefit for traders who are looking to sell options in the Indian markets. VIX would remain higher because of one of this could be the possible reasons.
So just like I wrapped the previous story, it's very similar here, right? I mean, looks like very interesting times to be alive in India. A lot of things looking good for India, short term, medium term, long term. Most importantly, long term, country is flourishing, is getting positioned internally and also externally because of whatever is happening. India could become or is becoming an amazing manufacturing destination. So things are looking very nice, super excited, thrilled. I hope the audiences are also. But yeah, that is what it is.